Hello, I'm Edna Kane Williams, Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer at AARP. The time you are investing today to take the course, Becoming a More Inclusive Volunteer, is critical to our overall success. At AARP, we are working to uplift the voices and experiences of all people. As an AARP volunteer, we need your help to embed diversity into our advocacy, education, and outreach work. This training and others like it are examples of our commitment to the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion for the 50 plus. As we all work to fulfill AARP's mission to empower people to choose how they live as they age, we must remember that AARP's founder, Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus, saw the power of uniting diverse and inclusive voices to advocate for change. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is everyone's responsibility at AARP. Thank you for taking the time to take this training. It will help you grow your skills at becoming a more inclusive volunteer.
Hello, I'm Derek Young, and we're going to talk about the power of possible similarities. Now, I've been doing this for a while, so my guess is you probably have never heard those three words put together in that format, the power of possible similarities. Well, what I want to offer you as an AARP volunteer is a way to think about diversity in a way that helps you be more effective with the broader group of people. Here's the scenario. I'm leading a workshop with 60 people, people from the same organization, from different departments, and of course, every person on the planet is different. So I asked the question, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to list as many ways as we as people differ as you possibly can. 3 minutes. And I'm going to start at the front of the room and I'm going to go person to person to person. Well, imagine what that sounds like. Age, race, sexual orientation, lifestyle, education, background, foreign language, right? You get all these things that people share in that setting. One group in 3 minutes rather, came up with, I think, something like 100 differences that we have as people. Now, when you think of the ways that you and I are different, my experience is most people, when they think about difference, they don't start with, that's something that can benefit us. That's something that would expand our ability to do what we do at AARP. My experience is most people, or maybe many people, when they see a difference, it slows them down. It may make them question. It may make them even feel uncomfortable. And I don't care what the difference is. Different languages, different zip code, you name it. Some people, when they see difference, they're all about it. Oh, wow, I want to learn about that. Tell me about what you do there in that zip code. Tell me what you learned living in that country. I'd like to learn how to say these words in that language. Some people love difference and they see it, they absorb it, and they take full advantage of it. But in many cases, like I said, many people don't. It limits them. It, in some cases, even halts them. Well, in that same workshop with 60 people, I would then say, all right, I want us to think about something. You just outlined a bunch of ways that we as people are different. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at those differences as things that we actually might have in common. See, when you get a group to come up with a list of 10 or 40 or 80 or 100 differences, you get a pretty good list, right? Well, the question then becomes, what if we began to view differences as possible similarities? How does that work? Let's say I came to your city or town and I was doing a workshop with your AARP volunteer team. And let's say there are 30 people in your core volunteer network who meet and work together on a regular basis. You say, DY, we'd love for you to come in, talk to our group about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And let's say I did that same exercise. All right, we're going to take 3 minutes. I want you to come up with as many examples of ways that people differ as you possibly can. And let's say your group came up with 55 differences. And let's say one of those differences was whether you like movies or books or television. That's a way we as people differ. Some people like movies, some people don't. Some people like books, some people don't. Some people watch a lot of television, some people don't. Differences. So now I might say, man, I still love watching The Golden Girls. There's a show that came out in the 80s, ran for 6 or 7 years, and I still laugh at the reruns this many years later. And then somebody says, oh my gosh, I love The Golden Girls. You see, even though that's obviously categorically something that could be a difference, that person found where it's a connection we have. It's something we have in common. What I'm saying is, one of the great ways to start viewing differences is that if you will consider all the ways that we are different as people, I bet you a cup of coffee or a Coca-Cola that if you spend enough time with another person who seems different, more than likely, one of those differences is going to be a place where you connect. Something you share, a common interest or a common hobby. See, I can go into a room full of people. I bring my differences into that room, and I talk about my love for the movie The Godfather. Suddenly, now there are some people who've never seen The Godfather. My own mother wouldn't even watch The Godfather when she heard how violent it was. That's a difference. But what I'm suggesting is, if you understand the many differences that you and I have as people, you'll increase your knowledge around the fact that, man, out of all those things on the list, surely there's something I share in common with another person. I have a friend, and he told me this story, and he told me to use it in my diversity training, so I've been using it ever since. He is a white male. When this happened, this has been a number of years ago, so he was probably early 60s at the time. And he worked out at the YMCA all the time. And he said, DY, one day I went into the Y and I went to get on my machine. Now, I used to work out all the time. I don't work out really anymore. But you know you work out a lot when you go in a public place calling it my machine, all right? But anyway, he said I was going to get on my machine to do my morning treadmill, and he said I have a certain number of miles that I go, and I do it a certain way. And he said just as I got ready to step on the treadmill, a young gentleman got on right ahead of me. He got on my treadmill. He said not only that, DY, he said he had all these tattoos. My friend doesn't like tattoos. He said he had all these piercings. My friend doesn't like piercings. He said, man, I was so upset. I thought I was just going to leave. I was just going to shower and leave. And he said, just when I was about to turn around, the young man said, good morning. And I felt obliged, so I said, good morning. Then my friend said, 2 hours later, after they had sat there and talked and found out they both had gone to the same high school, they both played shortstop on the baseball team, they both had a love for IPAs. My point is, if you want to be a more inclusive volunteer, if you want to be better at building bridges with a broader group of people who live in your community, first, let's face it, you and I are not going to always see eye to eye on everything. I've said this forever. Even people who marry one another don't see eye to eye on everything. Even people who are twins or triplets don't see eye to eye on everything. So it's not about that, but it's about finding the best way to connect with other people. You see, you're an ambassador for AARP. You know that, right? So as an ambassador, do you only want to connect with people who look like you, think like you, walk like you, talk like you? If so, your AARP is going to be pretty limited in what it can achieve. So the concept here is that when you think about all the ways we differ, I want you to start saying, even though you and I have on different colors, even though you wear glasses and I wear contacts, even though you were born in the northern part of the country and I was born in the southern part of the country, we both fill in the blank. Because my experience is that most people connect better and they connect faster around similarities. So it's all about exercising a little mental creativity to recognize that it's just a matter of time, a matter of effort to just keep interacting with people until you find that pathway that's most comfortable for you to cross. Now, guess what else I found? What I found with thousands of people around America who have applied what I just talked about, the other thing I found is that when people make that Godfather connection, or I'm an only child connection, or I'm the firstborn of many, did your younger ones get away with stuff you never, oh my gosh, right? When I find those connections, those similarities that I've culled out from all the differences, you know what I also find? It makes it a lot easier for me to interact with someone around our differences. It shortens the understanding gap. It shortens the time it takes for me to now see things from someone else's point of view. Because again, remember, I'm not starting from, they're different, they're not like me, they don't think like me. No, we start talking about episodes from The Godfather. We start talking about the times when we had to change the diapers of our younger siblings as the oldest. See, we built a bridge around our similarities, and thereby we've made it easier for us to appreciate, here's my key word, and accept each other's differences. Now, I hope this concept is crystal clear to you, because I'm going to tell you what. I've been doing this a long time, and I found that a lot of people, when they really get this concept, it can be life-changing. And I'll end with a question. Do you, as an AARP volunteer, do you want your life, do you want your AARP group, do you want it to be richer? If the answer is yes, if you want your life to be richer, if you want your AARP volunteer team to be richer, I believe this notion of possible similarities, finding the power that exists within those similarities, I think it's a phenomenal way to do just that.